If you remember, I have explained you the thing, like everything. If you remember, we have seen the Angular website and I have shown you code inside Angular. Then do you remember that or not?
Yeah.
Then we shifted to the React website.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yes.
And at that time, I told you main content. See here, the main content. If you remember, we have talked about
You said
crawlers, Google.
searching while searching
Ha,
anything in the search engine.
correct,
The content written in the main usually search.
correct. So you can write everything in a div, no problem. Right? All these things can be written in a div, but this is not a good idea.
Arun, they just tell me a div is actually a new line, or I mean physically new line on the page.
Correct.
It's
That
just
is,
virtual.
it's not a new line. It's a row, you can say, on the screen. It forms the row. Now see, this is the div. Can you see? This is the div, and I have selected this div. Can you see how much have been selected over there? Can you see that? Now this div, can you see? It is nothing but this. This div, whole is the div. See here, div. This is the div. This is the div. So when you talk about the semantic tags, which gives you meaning to the section, main means what? Here you will find something important, right? Now, also we have seen this part, learn React, and this left hand side. So left hand side is dedicated to a sidebar. It's not a main thing. So instead of writing that in a div, right, you can write that part in something, one tag called as a side. Remember or not, we have seen this, a side, this element. In a nav, aside, and here I have written that element aside. And the main content can be divided into the subsections. See, everything can be written in a div like this. Everything can be written in a div like this. Right? But it is not that understandable, correct? By looking at this, you cannot tell what is this exactly. By looking at this, you cannot tell what is exactly. It is not forming actual understanding. But if you write these things, main, like this, now if you look at the tags, you can tell me something. Okay, this is the main part of your page. This is a section of the page. This is the aside. This is not on the main, but somewhere on the sideways, this content would be placed. That is what the semantic tags are. Nav means this navigation bar. So if you want to have something related to this nav, you will find that is written in the nav bar. Can you see that? Nav. And can you see aside? See, this is the aside. The element which is at the sideways, that is the aside. Right? Article. If you want to write something onto the page as a document, article, you will use which tag? Article. But all this can be written in a div. But that is not that understandable to you also, and the other crawlers and other engines also. So to give the meaning to the subsections of the page, HTML5 have introduced the tags called as semantic tags, right? Which are nothing but these. Fine. So today's session we will invest on the CSS part. Okay.
So div means you can say a row.
A row, correct?
And suppose if page have any vertical column, left or right side.
Correct.
In that case also we have to write a code in div.
Yes, that is also div, but you need a layouting in CSS for that. straight away you cannot, straight away there is no thing called as column like a div we have,
Okay.
right? So there is something else you need to do, and for that you need CSS. With the alone HTML you cannot do that thing. For that you need something else, and what is that? We will talk about that. A lot of sessions need to be spent for understanding the layouting. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so today we are going to see CSS. So we have seen what do we mean by HTML. Now CSS basics today. Index.html, index 01 dot. So okay, index.html, no problem. HTML5. So I will use something like this. There is one extension HTML, and just select this HTML5. So you will get a ready-made template from whom? VS Code. And graciously forget about these things. Don't worry about that right now. That are extremely, these two things are highly important. But right now, remove it. Okay. CSS basics. CSS what? Basics. Format the document. Now we have seen what do you mean by, or first let us see if this is the main means what? Main part of my web page is this. Try to understand, this is the body, every HTML is having, we have seen this HTML tag, head tag, and the body tag. HTML tag, HTML start tag, HTML end tag, head tag, and the body. Correct? Head tag and the body, and body contains your actual page.
Yes.
Now this is the main thing we have. Main means what? One of the HTML5 element, and HTML says that something important you can write over here so that crawlers will understand, you will also understand, your teammates will also understand. What do you mean by this? This is something important, or main part of your page is this, right?
Yeah.
Now what I will do, let's have a division, a page division. Technically main can be divided by means of the sections. Main can have different sections. This section shows less important content or navigation bar. This section shows actual content, like that. Okay, and inside that there are 3 divs. Inside that section there are 3 divs. Okay, now I need to assign width and height. See, this is the structure you created, the page structure you formed. Main, semantic tag. These divs are regular page divisions. Section is also page division, but it has a meaning. This main can be divided into this little subsections, and subsections can be further divided by means of something like this: divs, rows and columns. Now, how to form columns you don't know, but over the period of time you will be master in it. Okay, now what I want to do, so if I open this thing right now, there won't be anything. If I do this thing, reveal in Finder, there is nothing. But if you inspect it, if you inspect under the elements, there is a main, there is a section, and divs are there. Can you see height is not assigned? Can you see by 0, 1496 by 0? Can you see that? Height is not assigned. Now I wanted to assign width and height to the each element, to the body also, to main also, to section also, and this div also. So presently we will work with the div only. So HTML has given you one attribute. If you want to work with the appearance of this element, use a style tag, style attribute. And there are a lot of styles available. See, these many styles are there. Many styles are there. You don't need to remember any of this. And the names are also given in such a way that you can predict the meaning. Styles. One element can be applied with multiple styles. This element can have multiple styles. Now, what do you mean by style? If you want to change the styling of this element, you need to use the style attributes. And here you can say width 200 pixels. Pixels means smallest unit on your screen that will occupy 200 points on your screen. For now, you can understand in this way. Height 100 pixel, and the background color cadet blue. The standard color. This is a standard color name, and the color looks like this. Similarly, we can apply style to this. Style width. Style would be same. Can you see here? Style would be same. Height would be same. Width would be same. Height would be same. 100 px. Just background color would be different. And here we can say blue. Again, style attribute. Which styles you need to work with this thing? Can you see repetition is there? 200 pixels, height 100 pixels, and background color blurry wood. This thing, burly wood. Okay. Now go here, refresh it. You can see 3 colors. You can see the width. Now if you go to this inspector and select this, can you see element style? Width is 200 pixel, height is 100 pixel, background color is this. Even here you can change it. Can you see? Tick and untick. Tick means applied, untick means just to play with these things. It will not make any actual impact in your HTML file, but whatever content loaded into the browser, it will work with that part. Correct?
Yeah.
Also, you can change the numbers also. Can you see here? I can change the number. Width.
Yeah, I saw my teammates work with this.
Correct.
Since I don't know about UI side,
Correct.
so I just observe them. But please tell me details about this pH, of this
Yeah,
we
are going to see that.
And how to find section in the elements. How can we change from here?
Yeah.
All these things.
Okay.
Observe them, but I don't know.
No problem. Can you see these many are the dimension units? Pixel, centimeter, millimeter, inches, PC, points, CH, EM, REM, VH, VW, Vmin, Vmax. Today you just remember that pixel is the smallest unit on the screen.
Okay.
Now, so these many smallest units are required for this div. Right? In the width, these many units. In the height, these many units. That's what you just remember today. Pixel. But we are going to see these many things. There are many things available with us. Correct?
Yeah.
So when you talk about these units, we'll talk about that. Today, I'm not going to talk about the units, but in detail, we are going to see. But whenever HTML gets loaded into the browser, this HTML gives you a little section or console or editor to play with these things. Now, can you see this cursor? Select this cursor and take over
Yes.
any of the element. And can you see that particular element? So if I take cursor over here, that element is selected in your browser. See here. If this, in this way, you can select the elements. And for the particular elements, if you want to change some styles, you can change over here. You can go and type it instead of the burly red wood. You can say red. Can you see? It would be changed over here. A small editor is given to you just to play with these things. First is this, select this. You can select the section, right? This is the whole section you can see here.
The blue part, entire.
Yeah, entire blue part. Then this is the first div. It is selected actually, but color is collapsing. Now the second blue is selected and the red is selected. Can you see? And go here and try to change the style like this.
Yeah.
Inside this page, you can do only this much right now. Correct?
Yeah. Can we do it now?
You can do it later on also, no problem.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Because I thought you were saying me to do it right now.
No, I'm giving you.
It. Yeah, I will practice it.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm giving you space for thinking. If you get anything, you can ask me.
Yeah.
So here what we have seen, the style property. Style property we have seen. And there are lots and lots of properties available. Like width, colon, height, semicolon. The properties are separated by semicolon. And value is given to the property. And the value is given to the property after the colon. Width, colon, value, semicolon, new property, height, colon, value, semicolon, background color, caddet blue.
So here style is, we can say, element of the div tag.
Yeah, element of any HTML tag. You can write style.
HTML. Currently it is for
Div.
div.
Correct. Attribute. Right? What is the style? What is the style? Style is an attribute of the this tag. You can apply style to anything. No problem. But see, here is the repetition. Width, height, same, width, height, same, width, height, same. And presently there are only 4-5 tags are there in your HTML. Your actual, now go to the React website and see there are more than 1,000 tags are there. And if you go on writing the styles over here itself, right? If you go on writing the styles over here itself, your HTML will become lengthy and you cannot maintain this code. With this consideration, some smart developer says that do not write something like this over here. So I will create a new section now, right? And those developers says that you need to create something called as style. Take these styles out of the element, right? Out of the element. And instead of writing these styles over here and making your HTML ugly, you need to write these styles for each element inside that style area and not here. This should be clean. For your reference, I am keeping it first one. This is the uglier one, uglier section. Now, the minute you go over here, you will first ask me one question. How shall I select this div over here? How shall I select this div over here? How shall I select this div over here? Because here it was easy. There is a element, straight away you can write the attribute. But for this HTML element, how can I write attribute over here? And this is the real challenge. This is the real concept. CSS selectors. You can select this element in this area in a 3 ways. You can select this element in this area in a 3 different ways. First, by means of div, by means of the element name. But the minute you do by means of element name, all the divs in your page are getting selected. So for all of them, we will write a border. What we will write? Border. One of the style. So here also you can write a style, border. Here also you can write a style, same style you can write here also. Or instead of the border, let's forget about that. Let's say width and height. Width 200 pixels and height 100 pixels. So every div on this page, see, try to understand the problem we are trying to solve. Try to understand the problem we are trying to solve. The minute you removed the style from here, you got a new question. Boss, tell me, how should I select this element over here in this style section? How should I select this element in this style section? How should I select this element in this style section? So that 3 ways I am explaining you. There are 3 ways. There are 3 ways. First way, by means of name of the element. You select it by means of what? Name of the element. Second way, ID. So here I can give ID. ID. There is one more attribute called as ID. And here we can say dv red or dvrd. This ID can be anything, no problem. It's like a variable. dvrd. First you can select it. First you can select it by means of element name. Right? Yeah.
One question here. Earlier in the div tag or div element, you mentioned style as an attribute on the line number 90, right?
Correct. Yes.
Now, in the head section, you line number 7, you create style as a tag.
Yeah, style as a tag. Correct.
So, I mean, it is both way possible.
Both way possible. No problem.
Means divs are part style, the div elements style attribute होतं.
Correct.
आता तुम्ही स्टाईल
Separate element.
सेपरेट एलिमेंट घेऊन त्याच्यात आता div डिफाइन करतात म्हणजे divच्या काय प्रॉपर्टीज.
Absolutely. So this is the div you have. So try to understand, if you have 1000 elements, okay, and see, and there are just 3 properties you have. Presently we are having width, height and background color. Just 3 properties we are writing. There are a lot of other properties, like I want to show the shadow, I want to show the border. So this line becomes or this line becomes a 50 lines of code. Only one line becomes what? 50 lines of code. And such you have 1000 tags in your element.
Yeah, and so there are some properties
Common
which are
things are also
repeated.
there. Yes,
Repeated.
which are repeated.
Yes.
Again your HTML will become non-maintainable.
Correct.
To do this thing, HTML, some smart developers come together and they say that remove it. Don't do in this way. This is the bad idea. So instead of that, create a style tag in a head section, right? Create a style tag in a head tag, and into that select these elements, whatever elements you want to decorate, select those elements, and those elements can be selected in three ways. That ways we are understanding. First way is of what? Selecting by means of element name. Second way, if you have given some id to the element, hash id, now see, sorry, hash dvrd, hash what? Dvrd. So id is a standard HTML element. id is what? It's a standard HTML element like the style, and here you can give any string like this, but that should be unique. It's an identifier. So you can select this element or this element in a style section by means of id. You need to just write a id. You need to give that id over here, and you need to give hash over here. And here I can say background color red. Okay, so this guy will become red. So width and height. So this element, this element, this element, any of the element, any of the div element will get width and height from this element selector. So there are three types of the element selector: name selector, id. Third way is a class. Class, right? And here we can say, and you can give some any name to this class. Again, it's a string. And here we can say CLS blue, CLS BL. And here, if you want to select the element, if you want to select the element whose class is CLSBL into this style section, you need to give a dot CLSBL, and you need to do what? Dot CLSBL. You getting my point?
Yes.
And then give background color blue and refresh it. Let me add a horizontal rule. Can you see that? This one, this one.
So the div name which you declare width and height. So like select explicitly class and ID. So for the name of the element, in case of there is no specific addition, you can directly write the name. Div, it automatically takes the width and height.
All the divs.
Yeah.
What it will take? All the divs.
No need to specifically add.
Correct.
Like we add a ID and class.
Correct. And tell me about hash and class. What do you mean by hash?
ID,
and what do you mean by this dot? Explain it.
Hash means ID we can given to the element, standard HTML element, and we can define the properties for the IDs and class as well.
Okay.
And we can use those with the tags or HTML element.
Okay.
So just I would like to know the difference between this class and ID.
That was my next question.
Okay.
So think and tell me. If there is a ID why they have created a class?
Yeah.
That was your question, right?
Yes.
Think and tell me. Answer is very easy.
Maybe ID is unique.
Correct. ID is the unique, and there should be some there are some properties which can be repeatable. And those repeatable things can be written in a class, and we can apply this class to anywhere. Say ABC. Let's get some real-time example. I want to apply border to everyone. Border. Say border width 1px. Border color red or yellow. And 2 pixel. Sorry, border style. It's dotted. Now I want to apply the border on every div. So here I can say class BRD. Here also I can say BRD. Multiple classes are possible. BRD. And refresh it. Then this is some dotted border. Yes. Or let me increase the pixel value. Border width 5 pixel. You can see here also one thing is there. Now CSS basics, style tag or style attribute. Then style tag.
Element and tag is same.
Element and
Tag.
Tag
has a attribute. Element has attribute like that.
This one and this one.
Yeah, I mean div is a tag, right?
Yeah, div is a tag name. So you can select, for now you can understand this. You can select HTML elements in the style area. Basically, in this style area, you can select HTML elements in a 3 ways. Name of the element by means of ID and by means of class. Name of the element, ID selector, and by means of class. Right?
Yeah.
Is that clear?
Yes, clear, but can you explain about the difference between ID and class? Means
Same. ID and class.
What will happen if duplicate ID like that?
Duplicate ID is what will happen if two variables with the same name have been created, overwritten, right? Now see, if you give, also don't worry about this thing right now, BRD. This is what you are saying, right? And refresh it. Can you see what is happening? Now there is a priority also. We'll talk about that tomorrow or sometime later on, but max tomorrow. If everything is happening like this, which would be getting selected? That thing is called as specificity. What is called as? Specificity. If ambiguous styles are getting applied on one element, which to be selected, there are the rules, and that rules are under the specificity. Getting my point? We'll talk about that. But in the today's lecture, a takeaway is that you should get to know the selecting of the elements, and you should know why we are created this style tag, why we have created this style tag, what is the problem of this style attribute over here, right? There is a problem with the style attribute. So we have moved everything to the style tag, right? And inside style tag you have written it. Now to this approach also there is a problem. Now you have removed the style tags from style attributes from here. So this is become clean, right? But I am compromising on the reusability. I have 10 HTML pages and this BRD I want to use in the 10 HTML pages. How shall I do it? One problem, because that is limited. I need to copy this style tag in every HTML then, right? I need to copy this much style tag in every HTML then. And copying this unwanted things, or they might be dependent on each other, there might be problem. So generating this style tag, right? Generating this style tag in a HTML head tag have multiple complications. First thing is that reusability you are compromising. This BRD can be used only inside this HTML. But this is useful inside multiple HTMLs also. That I'm compromising here. I need to write this BRD again and again in every HTML. Another thing, HTML should contain only the structure of the data and not related to the styling. So this guy shouldn't be in the HTML page. The way JavaScript can be written in the head tag also, right? Under the JavaScript tag, in a DOM you will get to know, we can write JavaScript over here also. But as per the standard developers or standard the practices, style should be written in a separate file, because you will achieve the reusability by using in that way. And what if you have 5,000 lines of styles? Are you going to write that 5,000 lines of styles in each and every HTML? Consider that you have a create new customer page, you have a listing all customer page, searching customer page, and everywhere this BRD is required. You're going to copy BRD in your 100 HTML pages. That is the problem. And HTML should contain only HTML. HTML should contain what? Only HTML. So this is the odd man out. It shouldn't be here. And with this approach, people came and they say that there is something called as app01.css. Move the content of this as it is. Move the content of this to a separate file called as cascading style sheets. What do you mean by cascading? You are doing cascading. So this would be having associated with this, there are a lot of styles, and you are writing it in a proper structure in a separate file. Now, if these are the button related styles, you can create the separate CSS. If they are the border related styles, they can be separate CSS. Now, question arises over here. So I will remove this and consider that all the input tags would be having the font size 30 pixel. So that would be getting covered in this style. But next question is that, well, this style was a part of this HTML. This style was a part of this HTML, and so that this section was selecting the elements properly. But this is the separate file. What is the association between this file and this file, right? You need to make it. So this style tag was a part of this HTML. So it was easily accessing all these things. This was having access, right? But you have separated now. Now you need to import, you need to link this thing inside this HTML, and you need to define the relationship. Link, a relationship is a style sheet. So this file, what you can say, this file, whatever you have imported, this file is in a relationship of this page, relationship in the form of styling. So these are the standard things. A link is also tag. Rel defines relationship. href defines a reference to the file where styles have been written. This is the link given. This is a separate file on the server, and href is pointing to that file where exactly your styles are written. So this is the rel style sheet. Rel what? Style sheet defines the relationship of this file with this page. Defines relationship of this file with this page, and that relationship is style sheet. Correct? You getting it?
Yes. Yes.
So rest is same. You can select it by means of, there are 3 fundamental element selector: by name, ID, and the class. By name, ID, and what? Class. You can select it by means of element name. You can select it by means of class, a text assigned in a class attribute. You can select by means of ID, a text assigned in an ID attribute. Okay?
Yeah.
Any questions so far?
So, I mean, the same question again. It is not clear about the ID and class. Like ID, can we use ID to the multiple HTML elements?
You can use it, but it would be overridden.
How can use?
Just write ID like this. Here you can write ID is equals to dvrd.
I mean, when to use ID and when to use class? Is there any specific?
So whenever uniqueness you need to maintain. What I'm saying? ID means what? Something unique to this element. Only to this element if you want to apply something. Only specific to this element. Then HTML says that I have given you one attribute called as ID. ID will represent this element uniquely in your complete page or DOM tree. What is a DOM tree? Forget about that. I will give you in one word. So ID is that element which defines a unique identifier to this element in whole loaded content or a DOM tree. What is a DOM tree? Forget about the DOM tree. In a loaded content, you can say. And this is the unique. So you know that this is a unique thing. And if you want to access this by means of a particular unique thing, you can take a benefit. Now here, if you can see, this element can be accessed by means of this class brd, and this element can be accessed by means of this id dvrd, right? So this scenario can be, this element might be accessed in javascript by means of the id, and this element might be accessed in the css by means of class, In that case also this is required. So id is not related only to html, css. With the help of id you can write a javascript also, script also. At that time also you need to use id. Is it clear?
Yes.
id gives you a unique element.
So it is good practice. If you want to use IDs, it should be unique and it should be when you attach to the element or tag once only in the
Yeah,
HTML.
in a entire html, the
What?
string you are assigning to the id tag, that should be unique. Whatever string you are writing after the id tag, that should be unique in whole page.
Yeah.
And that's what id is, identifier.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Got it.
Class can be a lot of things, but do not forget it's a reverse procedure actually. This is the style section. So go from here. So you are writing style tag, style attribute on the div element. It is like selecting here, right? So this style, so these things are getting applied to this element. These things are getting applied to this element. These things are getting applied to this element. But why this is bad, we have discussed. So we have moved to what? A separate styling. The minute you have written the style tag, you will ask me one question. How shall I select this element? How shall I select this element? How shall I select this element over here? It was clear because you were writing style attribute on the element itself. So that was very clear. But how shall I do it in a separate tag? And there are multiple approaches actually, but fundamentals are three approaches. By means of name of the element, by means of id. If you have given id to the element, with that id you can select. If you have given some class to the element, with the class name you can select, or the name of the element. All the elements would be selected over here. All the divs would be getting selected over here. Is that clear?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now this is about selecting the elements. Well, in this addition to this, there are few more ways also, like pseudo selectors. We are going to see that later on. The pseudo selectors part we are going to see later on, but it is related to this thing only, selecting the elements in a CSS3 way. This is the plain CSS. Now see, multiple styles you can write. So here you can say app. The way I said, this will work with the input elements. Now app 002.css. These will work with semantic tags like main, right? Like section. You can write the CSS as per this thing. So this CSS would be working with the login elements. This CSS can be working with the registration elements, right? Registration pages. It can be done in this way. And they can be imported in a one page, no problem. But the sequence matters. First priority is given to the style elements, these tags. First priority. First priority would be to them, to these guys. Right? First, this thing would be getting applied. First, this thing would be getting applied. Then it will check for in internal styles, and then it will go for the external styles. And this is what we are going to see in the specificity. Tomorrow we will see the first. I will try to cover CSS3 pseudo selectors and then specificity. Hello?
Yeah, yes.
Pseudo selectors we will cover tomorrow, and then we will see. But fundamentals are these three.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yes.
Fine then.
Yeah.
If you have any question, go ahead and ask me.
Everything is clear to you.
Okay.
And in the link you mentioned, like you can add multiple links, multiple CSS pages, or CSS files. So there also, suppose in different CSS, there might be possibility like redundancy of any property we set. So in that case also, it takes a priority according to the file name mentioned. Means the first and second
Yes.
are the common property set.
Yes.
Suppose in one and there is a red, and in two
Yes.
there is a blue.
There are the rules.
Which will be.
Yes. As per the rules of the specificity, that would be getting decided.
Okay, that we are going to learn tomorrow.
Yeah, day after tomorrow. Tomorrow we will see pseudo elements.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Okay.
Yeah. And okay. So after when you stop the recording.
Sure. I'm stopping the recording. Thank you.